Once upon a time, in a distant forest, there was a mouse who was a perfectionist. He disliked making mistakes to the point where he no longer enjoyed a precious hobby he once had. And what was this hobby? Well, he used to love taking photographs. The joy he found in capturing a perfect moment was what drew him to photography, and he got quite good at it too. But one day, he found that his photographs had gotten a little blurry. The culprit was his shaky hands. At first, he wasn't discouraged, using tripods and other devices to make the photos perfect. But over time, the shake got a little worse, and he grew frustrated that he could no longer take photos quickly anymore. He couldn't justify his hobby as a perfectionist, and it only pained him to waste time on so many mistakes, and so he decided to stop. It was a decision that made him sad, but he still went through with it, and so he put his camera away, believing that he would never take another photo again. That was until something happened on one of his walks that changed his mind. It was an evening walk on a winter day, close to the holidays. This mouse liked to take regular walks along a specific path. This was a path near the park where all the trees were decorated each season by those who lived in town. He enjoyed looking at all the decorations and getting some fresh air. As he walked past the trees, he spotted a sparkling light at the edge of the clearing. At first, he thought it might have been a lamp hung on a tree. But as he walked closer, the air grew warmer and smelled of caramel. In the clearing, he could see a camera floating in midair, just sparkling gently. How was the camera floating? Walking around the camera didn't give any answers, and, out of curiosity, he reached his hand out to touch it. The camera wasn't anything special to look at, but it did seem magical. And now that he touched it, he couldn't help but grab the camera out of the air. Inspecting the camera yielded unexpected results. The camera didn't have a battery or camera slot, but when he flipped the on switch, it worked normally. He hadn't held a camera in his hands for so long that the weight of the camera brought back some happy memories. He felt energized, and so he decided to take some photos of the decorated trees around him. If you asked him, this was, in fact, the perfect season for taking photographs. In his line of view, he could see several wonderfully decorated trees of all kinds of sizes and shapes, all ornately dressed down to the smallest branch. But there was one that was a bit different from the rest. It was a little short and not as lush, but it had lots of carved wooden decorations on it. The ornaments weren't perfectly carved, but they had a certain charm to them. The only ornament that wasn't wooden and decorated was a photo. In the photo, there were about 20 children smiling for the camera like a class picture. It appeared to be a mixed class of foxes, bunnies, dogs, and birds, and others, all sitting next to each other. From the photo, he immediately noticed that this tree belonged to the Birchwood house. This house was run by an older carpenter sheep named Jay, who took care of the orphan children. Jay taught the children carpentry skills, and this year, each of them had carved a flower ornament on the tree. The mouse wondered if they would like a photo of the tree they lovingly decorated. It made him so happy to see the beautiful results of such time-intensive work, and so he took photos of the tree and of the others, hoping to get at least one perfect picture. After he was finished taking the photos, he had to see how they turned out. He looked through the photos on the screen of the camera and was immediately disappointed. Unfortunately for this perfectionist, all of them ended up blurry like before. What a failure, he thought. Extremely frustrated, he accidentally bumped the camera against his chest. Suddenly, a billow of smoke appeared out from the lens. As it traveled up into the sky, it turned into a glowing light that floated above him. In the magical light were images from the photos he just took. All of his shaky photos were lit up by the brilliant lights on the trees, showcasing all of the dazzling colors. The photos he deemed failures looked so mesmerizing, lit up by the glow, and the blur of the pictures looked purposeful even then. He held his hands to his chest in disbelief. What he was experiencing was a new feeling he didn't remember having before. It wasn't so long ago that he felt so down about his hobby, but now he was filled with so much inspiration. The photos glowed a bit more and then faded, leaving the photographs to glide softly to the ground. As he picked them up, he noticed the photo of the birchwood house tree among them. It wasn't perfect, but he didn't mind. From his pocket, he pulled out a piece of scrap string left over from when he knit a sweater. He tied the photo to the birchwood house tree and drew a smile on the back. Stepping away from the tree, he appreciated the imperfect photo ornament he made, thinking to himself that just because something isn't perfect doesn't mean it doesn't have value. And so he smiled as he put the rest of the photos in his bag, also deciding to place the magical camera in the bag as well, not knowing that later it would disappear as it appeared, magically and without warning. With a pep in his step, he headed home, taking the same path back. On his way back, he made plans for how he would get into photography again. He made a couple of mental notes of where all of his equipment was squirreled away. He would take out his camera out of the box. He would brush up on his skills and get back out there. And with every step he took, he didn't want to forget how he felt, seeing those glowing photos. So he repeated over and over again the same phrase: "You don't have to be the best. You just have to be content with what you're doing." And a special thanks to my Raccoon Snacks patrons: Anna Gaylord, Brigitte van den Broek, Agley, Kim Meyer, and S. Marie Carlson. Thank you so much.